Have you ever noticed how silence can be far more powerful than words? Not the silence born out of fear or giving up, but the kind that radiates strength, the kind that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it to anyone. Especially when you're surrounded by people who don't respect you, even your own family. That kind of silence becomes your secret weapon. Think about it. When others try to break you down with harsh words, dismissive attitudes, or blatant disregard, they're waiting for a reaction. They want to see you crumble, shout back, or fall apart so they can justify how they treated you. But what if you don't give them that satisfaction? What if you stay calm, quiet, and still? That silence unsettles them more than any argument ever could. There's a powerful verse in the Bible that says, even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent. Why? Because silence shows control. It shows restraint. And this kind of restraint doesn't come from weakness, it comes from spiritual maturity. It's the deep knowing that your worth isn't defined by who accepts you, but by who created you. When you understand who you belong to, you don't have to fight for a seat at someone else's table. You don't have to chase respect or validation, whether it's from parents, siblings, or anyone sharing your bloodline. If they can't see your value, that's their burden, not yours. Here's a truth many don't realize. Some of the deepest pain doesn't come from strangers. It comes from those closest to us. When the world disrespects you, it stings. But when your own family does, it cuts deeper. It feels like betrayal. Your heart screams to respond, to shout, don't you see what I've done? Don't you see how I've been there for you? But listen closely. True healing doesn't come from making them understand. It comes from surrendering the need to be understood. You have to reach a place where you say, God, I don't understand why they treat me this way. I don't know why I'm not enough for them. But I trust you see it all. You know my heart, and you will defend me, in the silence. And He will. God notices every tear you shed when they belittle you. He sees when they gossip behind your back or ignore your presence like you don't matter. He won't miss a thing. He will act, not on your timeline, but on His. Your role? Stay still. Let Him be God. Because silence doesn't mean avoiding conflict, it means choosing peace. It means you've outgrown the need to shout to be heard. It means your spirit is anchored, unshaken. You don't have to argue with someone determined to misunderstand you. You don't have to explain yourself to someone who only listens to respond, not to understand. Sometimes, the bravest, most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing, not out of anger, but out of quiet confidence. I know it's tough. Especially when others mistake your silence for weakness. They say, you don't speak up because you're scared. But no, you stay silent because you are free. There is a quiet power in walking away without slamming the door. There's strength in stopping the chase for closure and letting God close the chapter for you. And He will. When you stop needing their respect to validate your worth, you begin living from a place of unshakable peace. A peace that confounds those around you because they can't grasp the strength it takes to stay calm when everything feels unfair. But here's the secret. In that silence, God speaks. In that stillness, He whispers, you are mine. You are not what they say you are. You are not your rejection. You are not your family's failure to see you. You are chosen. You are loved, and I have set you apart. So don't let disrespect drag you into a storm of noise. Don't let their chaos infect your calm. Let them wonder why you're not responding. Let them wonder why you're not pleading. You don't have to react because God is watching, and when God watches, He moves. He is the defender of the silent, the shield of the misunderstood, the voice for the voiceless. If He is for you, who can be against you? Stay silent, stay steady, stay anchored, because the one who truly matters hears every unspoken word and honors every quiet boundary you set. Respect doesn't begin with others, it begins with you. How you carry yourself, how you guard your peace, how you draw the line and say, this is where I end, and I begin. And that is how you teach others how to treat you. Sometimes the hardest boundaries to draw are with those closest to you, people you grew up with, who share your name and your blood. But family ties are no excuse for repeated disrespect. Love does not mean letting others keep hurting you. Love means boundaries. If it doesn't, then it's not love, it's fear, guilt, or obligation. There comes a time when you have to stop asking, why do they keep doing this to me? And start asking, why do I keep allowing it? Because when someone disrespects you once, that's on them. But when they keep doing it, and you keep letting it happen without consequence, that becomes a pattern, a permission slip. Remember, God didn't create you to be a punching bag. You're not meant to live in constant tension, tiptoeing around people just to keep the peace. That's not peace, it's exhaustion. Sometimes, the most spiritual and courageous thing you can do is simply say no. No to the drama, no to manipulation, no to emotional blackmail disguised as family values. I know what you might be thinking. If I pull away, they'll call me selfish. They'll say, you've changed. And you know what? Let them talk. Let them say whatever they want. Because yes, you have changed. You've grown. You've come too far to keep shrinking yourself to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Boundaries don't make you bitter. They protect you from becoming bitter. Setting limits doesn't mean you hate someone. It means you love yourself enough to guard your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And yes, not everyone will like the boundaries you draw. But their discomfort doesn't mean you're wrong. Sometimes, it means you're finally doing something right. God will never ask you to sacrifice your sanity just to keep someone else comfortable. Yes, He calls us to forgive, to love, to extend grace. But forgiveness doesn't mean giving unlimited access. Grace isn't permission for people to walk all over you. True love speaks the truth. Real love says, I can no longer allow you to keep hurting me just because we share a last name. Love doesn't hide behind silence, it speaks with clarity, kindness, and firmness. Sometimes, it even says, I love you, but I can't keep going like this. When you set boundaries, you're not being cruel, you're being clear. You're saying, this is what I need to feel safe, to be whole, to live in peace. And when someone truly loves you, they won't see this as rejection. They will respect it. But if they don't respect your boundaries, if they get angry when you draw a line, it means they were benefiting from your lack of one. Many of you have spent years trying to earn respect from people who are determined not to give it. You bend over backwards, do everything they want, silence your voice, and still, it's never enough. Let me free you from that burden. No matter how much you do, you will never be enough for someone who refuses to see your worth. That's not your fault, it's their blindness. Your job is not to fix their vision but to protect your soul. You need to reach a point where you stop chasing people's approval and start honoring your own worth. Where you say, I will no longer participate in my own disrespect. This is not pride, it's stewardship. It's honoring what God placed inside of you. It's walking in dignity. When you begin doing this, when you set those boundaries and stop apologizing for needing respect, you will discover a new freedom. A peace you never thought possible. Because when you respect yourself, you attract relationships that reflect that respect. People who honor you, listen when you speak, and never make you feel like you're too much or not enough. People who love you for who you truly are, not for who they want you to be. Yes, this might mean losing some people. Your circle might shrink, but peace is better than popularity. Dignity is more valuable than being liked. And God will always replace what you lose in obedience with something greater. Something with purpose. So draw the line. Hold the line, not out of anger, but love, not out of spite, but strength. Never feel guilty for respecting yourself enough to walk away from what breaks you. That is enough. Love is one of the most beautiful gifts we have in life. But it is not a license for anyone to mistreat you. Sometimes, the people closest to us, our family, love us in their own way. But they don't respect us as we deserve. And that hurts deeply because love is supposed to build us up, not tear us down. Here's a truth that can set you free. You can love people without letting them break you. You don't have to stay in a place where you're constantly hurt just because you love them. Sometimes love means stepping back, even stepping away, protecting your heart, even if it means loving from a distance. It's hard to hear, especially when it's family and you've been taught to stand by your blood no matter what. But standing by doesn't mean standing for everything. It doesn't mean allowing disrespect or pain to go unaddressed. You can care deeply about someone and still say, I can't keep letting you treat me this way. Loving someone doesn't mean giving them a free pass to trample your dignity. Love that destroys you is not love, it's a chain. And God didn't call you to be chained by someone else's refusal to respect you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do, for yourself and for them, is to love from a distance. To say, I'm stepping back so I can heal, so I can grow, so I can become who God created me to be. Loving from a distance doesn't mean you stopped caring. It means you're choosing to protect your heart. Because the truth is, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give love freely when your soul is drained by constant disrespect and pain. Understand this. Protective love is not selfish. It's survival. It's wisdom. When someone refuses to respect you, no matter how much love you give, you will only end up broken again and again. And that's not what God wants for you. He wants you whole, healed, and strong. He wants you to walk in peace, even if that means walking away from toxic relationships. Loving from a distance also gives room for change. Sometimes people need to face the consequences of their actions before they realize the damage they've caused. When you remove yourself from constant harm, you're not punishing them, you're giving them space to reflect, repent, and grow. But don't hold your breath waiting for that change. Sometimes, the people we love simply don't change. And that's their choice, not yours. Your responsibility is to love wisely, to love with boundaries, to love with courage, because if you don't protect your heart, you risk losing what love is truly meant to nurture, your peace. And peace? Peace is priceless. It's a precious gift from God, one that no one has the right to steal from you. There's a clear difference between love that saves and love that enslaves. Love that saves builds you up, lifts you, encourages you to grow and become better. Love that enslaves drains you, diminishes your spirit, and makes you question your worth. If the love you're receiving leaves you feeling small, invisible, or disrespected, then it's time to step back and reevaluate. And reevaluation might mean creating some distance, even when it hurts. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting yourself or preserving your peace. When you love from a distance, you're not closing the door forever, you're simply stepping back until the day respect can be restored. And if that day never comes, that's not your failure, that's a lesson learned, wisdom gained. God's love for you is perfect and unchanging. He loves you fiercely, tenderly, and with a respect that never falters. He calls you to love others, but never at the cost of your own well-being. You are worthy of respect, worthy of love that honors you, worthy of relationships that bring peace, not pain. So love with all your heart, but don't let anyone break you. Protect your heart with courage and grace. Walk in freedom, knowing that sometimes loving from a distance is the greatest love you can offer, to yourself and to those who haven't yet learned to respect the gift of your presence. And that is enough. One of the hardest things to do, especially when hurt comes from those closest to us, is to forgive. Forgiveness is not simple or quick. It's a process, a journey that often feels like climbing a steep mountain. But forgiveness isn't about forgetting or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's about freeing yourself from the prison of bitterness and anger. It's choosing peace over pain, healing over hatred. You might ask, how can I forgive when they don't even apologize? How can I forgive when they keep hurting me? That's a valid question, but forgiveness isn't about waiting for an apology that may never come. It's your decision, your way of saying, I refuse to be held hostage by resentment. I choose to release this burden so I can move forward. Holding on to anger only keeps you chained to the past. It keeps wounds fresh and pain alive. Forgiveness breaks those chains. I'm not saying you should let people off the hook or pretend all is well when it isn't. Forgiveness doesn't erase justice. It doesn't mean you have to maintain the same relationship or trust again immediately. Forgiveness is for your soul's sake. It's a gift you give yourself to lighten your load. Think about Jesus on the cross. He forgave those who wronged him even as he suffered. He didn't wait for them to say sorry or make things right. He chose forgiveness because he knew that holding on to bitterness would trap him in pain. If he could forgive from such a place of deepest hurt, surely we can find the strength to forgive those who disrespect us, even within our families. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting the lesson. In fact, it often teaches us our most profound lessons: humility, patience, grace. It teaches us to rely on God's justice instead of our desire for revenge. It teaches us to trust that God sees every injustice, every insult, and will one day make all things right. Forgiveness brings freedom. It brings peace. When you forgive, you stop fueling the fire of anger inside you. You stop giving power to those who hurt you. You reclaim your life and your joy. Forgiveness lets you breathe again, live again, and walk in the light instead of being chained to the darkness of resentment. But forgiveness is a choice, not a feeling. You may not feel ready, and that's okay. Forgiveness often comes one step, one day at a time. Sometimes, you must choose it every morning when you wake. Some days will be harder than others. But keep choosing, because forgiveness is the path to healing, the bridge from pain to peace. And remember, forgiveness doesn't mean exposing yourself to further harm. You can forgive and still protect yourself. You can forgive and maintain healthy boundaries. Forgiveness and self-protection can coexist. When you forgive those who disrespect you, you don't just set them free, you set yourself free. You break the cycle of hurt. You open the door to healing. And in that healing, you find a deeper strength than anger could ever give. So I urge you, don't carry the heavy burden of bitterness any longer. Choose forgiveness, not for them, but for you. Choose peace. Choose freedom. Choose to let go of what holds you back. We live in a world that constantly urges us to speak up, to defend ourselves, to react instantly whenever we feel wrong. And yes, standing up for yourself is important. But there is also a deep, often overlooked strength in knowing when to remain silent. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not submission. Rather, silence can be a fortress, a sanctuary of peace, a way to protect your heart and mind from battles that don't need to be fought. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to respond, maybe with anger, maybe with words sharp enough to hurt back, or perhaps by trying to explain or justify yourself. But often, reacting only gives power to the disrespect. It fans the flames, pulls you into conflict, and leaves everyone wounded. Yet, silence, true silence, can be the greatest response of all. It demonstrates self-control, wisdom, and strength. It quietly says, I will not let your words or actions disturb my peace. This is a profound truth reflected throughout the Bible. Consider Jesus, who, when falsely accused, mocked, and insulted, chose silence over retaliation. That silence was a testament to his strength, his trust in God, and his refusal to be dragged into pointless arguments. He knew not every battle deserved to be fought with words. When you practice silence in the face of disrespect, you deny others the satisfaction of watching you unravel. You refuse to become a puppet in their hands, reacting on their terms. Instead, you reclaim control. You decide your response, not with anger or pain, but with dignity and calm. Silence becomes your way of saying, I am better than this. I will not be dragged down. However, silence does not mean ignoring injustice or pretending the pain isn't real. Silence is a strategic choice. It protects your spirit while you process your feelings, while you pray for wisdom, while you prepare a response that honors your integrity. Sometimes silence is the very space where healing begins. There is also something sacred about silence. It allows you to listen, not just to God, but to your own heart, to the quiet voice of truth that often gets drowned out by noise and conflict. In silence, you find clarity, you find peace, you find the strength to move forward without bitterness. Remember, silence doesn't mean you are weak or indifferent. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and for others, is to step back from the fight. To stop engaging with disrespect and focus on your healing. When you hold your tongue, you're not denying your pain, you're guarding your heart. You've probably heard the saying, silence is golden, but silence is more than a saying, it's a spiritual principle. In silence, you protect your peace. In silence, you show that you refuse to be controlled by chaos. In silence, you create space for God's peace to fill the cracks left by anger and hurt. Over time, those who disrespect you will notice your silence. Some may even respect it, recognizing the strength it takes not to jump into every conflict. Others might be confused or frustrated, but their confusion is not your responsibility. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your silence or your peace. Your job is to live in it fully. Silence can also be a powerful testimony. It tells others that you value your peace more than their approval. It says, I will not sacrifice my dignity just to win an argument. It sets a clear standard, not with words, but with your actions, for how you expect to be treated. So the next time someone disrespects you, especially family, try this. Breathe deeply. Hold your peace, and choose silence, not because you're afraid, but because you are wise. Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your soul's well-being. If silence feels difficult at first, that's okay. Strength builds moment by moment. Keep choosing peace over conflict. Keep protecting your heart with quiet courage. Sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all, and that is enough. But there also comes a time to recognize a hard truth. Not everyone in your life is meant to stay there forever. This is especially painful with family, since society tells us family is forever, and that we should tolerate anything for the sake of blood. Yet respect is never optional. When someone consistently disrespects you, even family, the most courageous act may be to walk away. To set yourself free from the chains of toxic relationships. Walking away doesn't mean you stop loving them. It means you love yourself enough to refuse ongoing harm. It means understanding that your peace, dignity, mental and emotional health are worth protecting. Sometimes, the greatest act of love you can show yourself, and even to them, is saying, I will no longer be part of this cycle. This decision is never easy. It brings pain, guilt, fear. You may worry about what others will say, feel the weight of tradition, or the pull of expectations. But God did not create you to be a doormat. He created you to walk in freedom, dignity, and joy. And if walking away is what it takes to preserve that, then that is what you must do. Walking away doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't mean burning bridges or shouting goodbyes. Sometimes it's quiet, calm, a gentle but firm choice to step back, choosing distance over conflict, peace over chaos. Some people will only respect you when you refuse to tolerate disrespect. There is strength in knowing your worth, in protecting your heart, in saying no to those who tear you down. That strength comes from God, who reminds you that you are precious, valuable, and deserving of respect in every relationship. When you walk away from disrespect, you open space for healing, for new relationships that honor you, for your own growth and peace. Sometimes people only learn to respect us when we show we won't accept less. Sometimes boundaries must be unmovable before respect can take root. Remember, walking away isn't the end, it's the start of a new chapter. A chapter where you reclaim your power and peace. Where you surround yourself with those who uplift rather than tear down. Where you step into the freedom God intended for you. You might wonder if walking away means giving up on family, on reconciliation, on hope. It doesn't. It means choosing what's healthiest for you now. It means trusting God with the future, with healing, with what you cannot control. Sometimes, walking away creates space for those things to happen in their own time. So, if you're stuck in a place where disrespect is constant, where love feels conditional, where your soul is weary from trying to earn respect that isn't given, hear this. You have permission to walk away. Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about your well-being. Not out of hate, but out of love for yourself enough to say yes to peace. Walking away is not failure. It's faith. Faith in God's justice. Faith in His timing. Faith that healing and restoration will come when hearts are ready. It's courage to choose yourself when no one else will. It's the strength to protect the sacredness of your spirit. Remember, no one, not even family, has the right to disrespect you. And you don't have to stay where disrespect is the norm. You can walk away with dignity, grace, and hope. You can step into a future where respect and love coexist, where your heart is safe, and your soul breathes freely. And that is enough.